We are about to take a whirlwind tour through centuries of medieval Indian history. We're talking invading warlords, we're talking powerful sultans, we're talking legendary emperors, and the best part? We're going to pull it all from one single fascinating source. So check this out. Our guide for this entire journey is this one set of incredibly dense handwritten notes. Seriously, it's all in here. The battles, the rulers, the policies, everything. And today, we're going to unpack it all together, slide by slide. Let's get into it. So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the early invasions that really shook things up. Then, we'll dive into the rise and fall of the Delhi Sultanate. After that, we'll see the Mughals arrive on the scene. And finally, we'll zoom out a bit and look at some of the other major kingdoms of the time. Okay, so our story doesn't kick off with some grand established empire. Nope. It begins with a series of really intense raids and invasions that completely changed the map of northern India. These were the sparks that lit a huge fire. Now just look at this number for a second. 17. That's how many times Mahmud of Ghazni raided India. Think about that. This wasn't really about conquering land at first. It was about plundering wealth, hitting famous spots like the Somnath Temple 17 times. That number alone tells you everything you need to know about the constant pressure and chaos these raids created. But the real game changer? That came down to two men, Muhammad Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan. In 1191, at the First Battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan actually wins. Ghori has to retreat. But here's the thing, he comes back just 1 year later, way more prepared. The second battle is a total reversal of fortune. Ghori's victory wasn't just the end of a fight. It basically kicked the door wide open for a brand new, permanent power in India. And that leads us right into our next chapter, the creation of the Delhi Sultanate. You see, this wasn't about quick smash-and-grab raids anymore. This was about building a real, lasting empire, with Delhi as its beating heart. Now, the Sultanate itself wasn't just one single thing. It lasted for over 300 years, and it was ruled by 5 different families, or dynasties, one after the other. You had the Slave Dynasty, then the Khiljis, the Tughlaqs, the Saids, and finally the Lodis, and each one left its own mark. So let's meet the key players of that first dynasty, the Slave Dynasty. It was founded by Qutbuddin Aybak. He's the one who started building the famous Qutub Minar. Then came Iltutmish, who really solidified the empire, creating a standard currency and a new system for managing land and the military. And then you have the absolutely remarkable Razia Sultan, who broke every rule to become the first and only female Muslim ruler of the Sultanate. Finally, you get Balban, the Iron Fist, who brought in super strict court rituals to demand respect and project power. 4 totally different leaders, all essential to the story. And if you want to know just how exceptional Razia Sultan really was, listen to this. A historian from that time, Minhaj-e-Siraj, flat out wrote that she was more able and qualified than all of her brothers put together. I mean, that's not some modern take. That's what people were saying back then. It really highlights how significant and how tragic her short reign truly was. Okay, so now we're moving into the real peak of the Sultanate's power, with the Khilji and Tughlaq dynasties. This was a time of massive military campaigns, wild experiments, and rulers who were, well, brilliant and sometimes deeply flawed. You know, a guy like Alauddin Khilji was an absolute genius when it came to control. To keep his huge army in line, he came up with these 2 systems. Dog was literally branding the army's horses, so nobles couldn't swap out a good horse for a bad one. And Chera was basically a detailed file on every single soldier. This wasn't just paperwork. It was a state-of-the-art system for military efficiency and fighting corruption. Pretty smart stuff. The Tughlaq dynasty gives us this amazing contrast in leadership styles. First, you've got Muhammad bin Tughlaq. The man was a genius, but his big ideas, like creating a new token currency or moving the entire capital city, were total disasters. They called him the wisest fool. Then, his successor, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, was the complete opposite. He was way more practical, focusing on building canals, hospitals, and cities, just solid infrastructure. He was also known for putting the Jizya tax on Brahmins, which was a significant policy shift. But of course, no dynasty lasts forever. For the Delhi Sultanate, the end came in 1526, on a battlefield called Panipat. This one battle wasn't just the end for the Lodi dynasty. It was the final curtain for the entire Sultanate and the beginning of a whole new chapter for India. And with that, the Mughal era begins.
This new dynasty, started by Babur, who was a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan, would go on to create one of the richest, most powerful, and just plain dazzling empires the world has ever seen.
And right here in the notes, you can see it plain as day. The story picks up with Babur, his victory at Panipat, and the founding of this new empire. From this one page, a whole new saga starts to unfold, one filled with incredible wealth, jaw-dropping architecture, and some truly complex rulers.
You can't talk about the Mughals without talking about Akbar the Great. His reign was just different. It was defined by this incredible vision of tolerance and unity. He got rid of the Jizya tax on non-Muslims. He built a house of worship where scholars from all different religions could come and debate. He even tried to create a new faith that blended ideas from all of them. His court, with its 9 jewels, these 9 brilliant advisors, was a center of culture and knowledge. Akbar understood that an empire's strength wasn't just in conquering people, but in bringing them together.
And check out this cool detail about his son, Jahangir. He installed something called the Zanjir-e-Adal, or the Chain of Justice. It was literally a giant golden chain with bells attached, hanging outside his palace. Any person, no matter how poor or unimportant, could pull that chain and get a personal hearing with the emperor. What a powerful physical symbol of a commitment to justice for all.
Now, it is really easy to get completely absorbed by the story of Delhi, but we've got to remember India was a massive tapestry of different powers. While the sultans and Mughals were running things up north, powerful and vibrant kingdoms were rising and falling all over the south. So, a major force in the Deccan region was the Bahmani kingdom. But after it went into decline, it basically shattered into 5 smaller independent states known as the Deccan Sultanates. These kingdoms, Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Bidar, and Berar, became major powers in their own right, famous for their unique culture and their control of the diamond trade.
And the biggest rival to those sultanates was the magnificent Vijayanagara Empire. Founded by 2 brothers, Harihara and Bukka, it grew into this massive center of wealth, art, and stunning architecture. Under its most famous ruler, Krishnadeva Raya, it entered a golden age, becoming this incredible powerhouse of Hindu culture and military might in the south.
So, after that sprint through centuries of history, we're left with this final question to chew on. When you look around India today, from the massive forts and tombs, to the way the government is structured, to the food we eat and the words we use, which of these powerful dynasties do you think left the biggest, most visible mark? Something to think about.